All right, so this video is to spark an open line of communication and discussion covering some topics for military, first responders, being like law enforcement, EMS, firefighters, everything along those lines. Um, Primarily focusing on training. Now, I fully understand that agencies, departments, or units do not have funding or resources allocated to be able to train, but that's why we're going to turn it over to more of the individual standpoint. So, discussion. Do you believe an individual should be pursuing further training or further education? Sure, on their own dime, or whatever you can imagine. But what I was getting at is, do you believe that an individual, a single person, should actually want to progress? Now, there are tons and tons of tools, not just for shooting or tactics, but there's tons of resources, and there's even free education and career advancements for EMS first responders. There's programs that are funded or nonprofit organizations that will do what's it like advanced life support. Obviously that's a course all on its own, but there's like courses that people are paid for by the government to bring in individuals from various organizations to do additional training. Now, there also are civilian courses or paid contract courses that you can attend. There's a bunch of them out there. I don't even want to try to name them all. But what I'm getting at is, should an individual take the initiative or take time off or away from work to go to these courses to become more of an asset for their unit, their department, their fire truck, or whatever, wherever you work at? Should an individual be putting forth effort? I'm a firm believer in, if you're in a role of responsibility, not particularly leadership, where life, limb, eyesight, whatever is in your hands, wouldn't you want to give yourself every single tool to perform the duties and be exceptional? So this would be going, my background obviously is in the military, but it can correlate to, I guess, tactical police work, police operations, or something along those lines. So as an individual, why isn't your shooting above and beyond just the basic range qualifications? Or why isn't your physical fitness exceeding the bare minimum qualifications? I understand money's tight. Police departments, agencies only allocate X amount of range day, range time. Why are you not seeking out to become more proficient? Okay, there's tons of tools out there, like I was saying. An example I'm going to give is cheesy. I just got into it myself. Ace VR. This is not a plug for a product. I don't have a promotional code or link in bio or nothing like that. But that's a tool that could be used to work on building additional fundamentals. If you can't afford, or if your department cannot afford to send you to the range, I'm sure you could not go to the bar or not go out to eat 3 or 4 times and be able to have an Ace VR set up to where you could train in your living room or in your garage. And the same thing can be said. There's like there's like dummy or life-like tissues. You can work on sticking IVs or stopping the bleed. There's stuff like that that can translate over to it. I don't have any knowledge or talking points for firefighter stuff other than like mechanical breaching. I can go over that, but I'm sure there are methods for, I don't know, rolling out your fire hose, or for extracting patients or individuals from vehicles that you could train. I'm sure there are junkyards that have vehicles that are going to be crushed, that if you were to coordinate by taking initiative with the junkyard, being like, hey, before this gets crushed, is there any way that we could, the jaws of life, use the jaws of life and just work on extricating a patient from this specific scenario, and then we can do it right there in the spot where it's getting crushed. I'm sure there's something that could be done there. Now, I don't know the legal limits of it, and I might be speaking out of place, but I know that any time that I have seeked out development or some type of training to get mo better for myself or for an organization, I have never had any kickback. Now, you're not going to be able to go to an office building and be like, hey, can we use this for some CQB training? Not that type of stuff. This is more like life-saving stuff or self-betterment. So if you're a police officer or if you're a rifleman, let's go back more to the police officer side, because I see it more there than anywhere else, is the lack of training and proficiency with firearms. I know that if I was on a police force, and say if I'm just a everyday street cop or patrol officer or whatever that position is, the climate in the state of the nation and the amount of officer involved shootings has completely skyrocketed. I know that I want to give myself every opportunity to make sure that I get home to have dinner or to have breakfast or to see my children graduate from school or to be at my daughter's wedding or just to see my wife in the evening. I would want to give myself every opportunity to that. And the same thing can be about your people to your left and right. You're responding to an officer involved shooting or man down or whatever. You get to the location, there is civilian considerations. Why would you just be out there willy-nilly, just one hand spraying? All right, let's get some more training. And that falls back onto the individual. The individual can 100% get out and dry fire, get your duty weapon you can take home. And the same thing can be correlated to security officers that are armed. Ultimately, you have your life and the individuals around you life in your hands. So I know this, being a security guard isn't as glorious as like other tasks, but however, you are providing a service for the well-being of others around you. So let's get you, let's get you. Why don't you take the initiative to get additional training? And there's tons of resources out there, and YouTube is a phenomenal place. However, you got to make sure that you get to quality individuals, and some of them might be paid, or some of them it takes some while to filter through. But there's a reason why some of the ones that are popular and the comments are positive throughout. So do a little bit of research. Some of the flashy stuff isn't what actually is going to work. So back to the point of the discussion. Why are individuals not putting forth effort to become better? And for people in the military, I can speak on this. People always worry about kickback from leadership, from command teams. If you were to have, let's say, a shooting course or a shooting competition, let's say it's sign-ins on Friday, Saturdays, the course or the competition Saturday and Sunday, and then Monday you got to come back. Now, you might get some kickback if you're an E2 private, right? However, what if you're a quality individual that has established yourself in your unit, and there's not some type of platoon live fire, squad live fire, or just an FTX going on? That's where you have to take the initiative and look at the training calendar, talk to your team leader, because ultimately, if you get out to a course or a competition, there is not a single commander's intent that you would not be meeting by bettering yourself. And then what can you do with that? If you're a leader, which ultimately everybody in the military is a leader, because that's one thing that the military is good at, is building and developing leaders. So let's say you're a specialist, team leader, okay? That happens all the time. You go out to one of these courses, you learn 3 new things. You bring it back and you disperse it across through your team. Well, people like to talk, and they're like, man, oh, hey, did you see Jimbo over there? Or Smith, or whatever your name is? He taught me this method for, I don't know, let's see, just like posturing, or some type of trigger method that you weren't ever taught, or just something small and minuscule that you just taught like one dude that goes and tells 3 other guys in the barracks. Next thing you know, you're going to have somebody else asking you about, hey, what did you tell them? How did you support yourself on that tree? Or, oh, how did you do that transition again? Or just something along those lines. People start talking. And that is literally leadership, right? It's like setting the example for others to follow. So kind of went on a tangent there, or just down a rabbit hole. But you should be seeking out ways to make sure that you're not causing, say if you do have to use deadly force, but ultimately if your police officer is de-escalation is priority, but there's evil in the world, it's rampant, and if you do have to get to the point where you use lethal force, why wouldn't you want it to be pinpoint precise? And the same thing can be said for like EMS. Okay, yeah, I can put a tourniquet. That's awesome. But what about if it's a place where you can't put a tourniquet? Or how are you packing the wound? Okay, well, if you could have done this other method that, I don't know, let's say like Dark Angel Medical or whoever taught is like teaching a different method that has been proven in, let's say, Ukraine, for example, because there's tons of casualties in there. And this method has been proven to stop specific bleeding, help get them to the next line of care. It's just stuff for you to think about, and it can then, and ultimately that can be like correlated to any type of profession. Like even if you were a mechanic, or if you are, I don't know, some type of Salesforce guy, there's further education or further like courses and programs that you yourself can take the initiative to make sure that you're doing more and better. Now, if you want to sit around and be stagnant, whatever, there's nothing wrong with that. There's tons of people like that. But if you're hungry, motivated, and you want to make sure that your life, other people's lives, and they have the most chance for survival or for success, you should be seeking out for improvement. One thing I'm going to finish this off with, because it's already at 12 minutes. I know that people to my left or to my right are, well, I'm retired. People used to be to my left or to my right, that majority of them, if not all of them, had children. I want to do everything in my power to ensure that they're able to be with their children, their family. And not only that, I want, say if you're in a situation with civilians, because people are everywhere. There's not always going to be hostile threats, but why would I want to compromise being negligent and engaging a threat, or presuming something's a threat when it's not a threat, and causing death or despair to a non-combatant or someone that's not a threat? All right, that's just food for thought. But getting out there, take the initiative. Don't be lazy. Physical fitness is crucial in all of these roles. I don't care if you're a firefighter, if you're an EMS, police officer, military. Physical fitness is crucial. And it goes back to kind of like when you're in like adrenaline rush or adrenaline dump. Heart rate gets elevated, you start getting out of breath, start doing weird things. And that could like happen not just in like shooting, or you could be an EMT, roll up on a scene, and there's like a child hurt in the car, rolled over, or you're inside of like a burning building and there is somebody trapped. Your adrenaline gets pumping, you start getting all sorts of crazy, and then your heart rate skyrocketing. Next thing you know, you're getting tunnel vision, you're blacking out or whiting out or whatever happens to you, and then you're like trying to catch your breath, and then but your cardio is so freaking shitty that now you become a problem. It's just stuff to think about. Discussion down in the comments, in the messages, wherever. What do you think? That's all I have. Thanks.